The Green Prince by Caroline Chan. There once was a gentle and solitary prince who lived in a castle in a far-off land. His parents knew not what to make of him, this thoughtful, slightly awkward young man. Indeed, they felt some disappointment at how he'd turned out to be. He neither liked sports nor did he like fighting. Instead, he loved to talk to the trees. He could often be found conversing with nature. He had such a love for all living things. Sometimes he'd stop and shake hands with a branch, which was not the done thing for a queen or a king. One could say that his heart was in music and art, a truly sensitive kind of fellow. But then there was also his passion for science, a yearning for knowledge, and playing the cello. Another rather unusual fact was that he always insisted on wearing green. Not considered a royal colour, this did not please the king or the queen. His never-ending list of questions drove everyone in the castle mad. There was growing concern amongst the nobles that this was more than a passing fad. Despite their displeasure, he would not stop, a true inconvenience to all. He'd say, "How do clouds float up high in the sky? In autumn, tell me, why do leaves fall? Where does the world end? What makes the sun shine? What makes something yours? And what makes something mine?" And the lordly grand old nobleman whispered into royal ears, "He must conform and play his role. This is no place for big ideas." He spent much of his day observing the world from his room in a tower way up high. To see the happenings out and beyond at times would make the young prince cry. He'd said, "Why are we tearing down beautiful trees? To me it makes no sense at all. We are chopping the forests and burning the wood in order to keep your majesties warm." He watched the huge wagons piled high with fine foods pass 1,000 hungry eyes. "Why must children go hungry while we have so much? We have plenty to share," he cried. "Your Highness, if we shared, there'd be uproar. We must have the best of the best. That's exactly what our titles are for. We're entitled to more than the rest." When he gazed upon the river, he shook his head in utter dismay. "Why are we pouring in so much rubbish? The water is turning dirty and grey." "Luxurious lifestyles such as your majesties produce enormous amounts of waste. This is inevitable, unavoidable, in order to satisfy royal taste." Oh, good grief, what a mess we have made, and all because of power and greed. This has to stop. We must do something. Surely we have more than we need. "I'm afraid we cannot change tradition, sir. This is the way it has always been. You are the prince. This is your life. The king is the king, and the queen is the queen." The unhappy prince just moped about in a constant state of melancholy. Nothing could brighten or cheer him up. Nothing seemed to make him jolly. And then, one day, came important news. A message out of the blue. "Your Majesty, you are now the king, and this is what you have to do. Tomorrow, make it clear that you are in charge. You must assert your authority. You must be strong and wear your crown. The king's speech is top priority." And so, the lordly grand old nobleman began writing without delay. They carefully chose the exact words to say for the newly appointed king to say. He nodded and smiled, as if in agreement, but an idea was forming inside his head. He'd had one of those eureka moments. He would write and read his own words instead. He sat up late throughout the night and poured his heart onto the paper. He sneakily wrapped it inside the speech to be hidden there for later. He did not sleep so well that night, tossing and turning in his bed. All his hopes and all his dreams were pinned on the day ahead. Crowds gathered outside the castle, waiting to hear what the new king would say, pushing and shoving, jibbing and jabbing, not wanting to miss this historical day. Up he went 1,000 steps, they placed upon him a splendid crown. Embedded with colourful jewels and gems, he felt the burden weighing him down. Then, unexpectedly, he rose and placed his crown down by his feet. He removed his heavy velvet cloak, revealing ravishing robes of green. As he unrolled the manuscript, preparing to address the crowd, he felt his strength begin to grow as he spoke his own words clear and loud. I stand before you as your king. Listen to what I have to say. I have thought about this all my life. There needs to be a better way. All these riches that surround me have not made me a happy boy. The birds and bees and the flowers and trees, these are what fill my heart with joy. No more cutting the forests down. We will try to reduce the amount of waste. We will use my land for growing food. Look around you, there is ample space. My castle is too big for one. Think of my castle as your home, a place for children to come and play. No one need ever be alone. There will be no rich. There will be no poor. We'll all have everything we need. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is yours. Here marks the end of the age of greed. The whole place was buzzing now. They could not believe their ears. They hugged each other and shouted out, "For the king, let's have 3 cheers!" Then, the lordly grand old noblemen threw their arms up in despair. They called to him, "Your Majesty, this absolutely is not fair!" But he chose to ignore them until they stopped and slunk away. He felt so proud to have used his power in such a revolutionary way. Beyond the crowds, the trees were waving with gratitude and delight. The animals danced in their branches all day and throughout the night. And from that day, the rules were changed. All living things had their say. The age of greed had now begun and carries on until this day. The end.